Ever feel like you know the notes but don't sound like music? Well, that was me. I'd practice all the scales, but my solos still felt disconnected and I never knew what to play next. But then I tried this one simple trick and everything changed. In this video, I'll break it down so you can try it for yourself and finally go from guessing to expressing. The first time I played a solo that actually sounded like a melody, I was just using 5 notes, the major pentatonic. So simple, right? Just playing these notes right here in this position. We're just playing C major pentatonic because we're just playing over a situation where it's over a C chord or C7. I don't want to think of it, right? So you got just those notes right there, and that is really all you need, you know. But a lot of people avoid it because they think it sounds too like basic and just common, you know. But the truth is, it's an easy way to give your solos shape because it's the foundation for endless melodies, not just noodling, which it does commonly happen, right? But how do you actually use these in a real jam without overthinking every note? Well, I'm going to give you a link to a video at the end here where it'll walk you through exactly how to start jamming musically and with confidence. Once I was comfortable with major pentatonic, I added just one note and suddenly everything got grittier. So you just take this major pentatonic, right, and add these notes here and here, which are, the same note. That is the minor third. Right, and that is what they call the major blues scale, right? It's like, right, this that would be A minor actual blues, this would be C major blues. They're the same exact notes, just focusing on this note instead of that note. And that, it adds more color, and when used right, that major blues scale, it just gives your solos more personality without losing that melodic feel. And if these sounds are clicking with you, but jamming still feels intimidating, don't worry, I've got something that can help. It is called the Jam Survival Guide, and it'll walk you exactly what to play so you're never stuck, just staring at the fretboard, not knowing what to do. So I dropped a link in the to the video down below. So I used to think that the blues scale was just for like rock and real grit, but I was missing its real power. It's easy to overuse it and just end up sounding like very repetitive and one-dimensional, But this can really work well because this matches right up with our chord here. You think, if we're playing over a major chord, you don't necessarily want to do this, but it just gives you that tension and that grip. It's the same exact shape as this. You just move it up 3 frets. So, real easy. But when you pair it, what we've already learned, it brings that kind of edge and attitude in all the right places. Now, for me, the real magic happened when I stopped sticking to just one scale at a time, but switching between them, it felt clunky, like I was like shifting gears without a clutch, like I was like, things like that. But then I started thinking about it more like a call and response, and just one idea and then another flavor kind of to answer it, and suddenly it started to feel much more musical. You've seen how these scales work, but if you're still not sure what to play in an actual jam, again, check out that Jam Survival Guide. It's a free resource that will help you connect these ideas to real music fast. So just grab it in the link down below and start sounding more like you in your solos. After a while, I wasn't just thinking like which scale anymore, it was starting to flow. But to get there, you need to hear how the sounds relate, not just memorize these boxes. So if you were playing, say, around this shape right here, you had thought, okay, that blue scale kind of just fits perfectly there. But then think about that note right here. That's in the chord, so that's in the major pentatonic, right? Or you think about the major pentatonic right here in this position here. So you'd end up adding this note, and this note. So you end up with a lot of notes. Starting from C, you go. You have all these right in a row. Over here you have that. And then the same on these three strings. That's actually easy to remember. Just those three right there. And these are great for bending, right? But over here you got a lot of stuff going on. But we don't need all of these. A good one to focus on is making sure you've got that major third. That's kind of link it all up and make sure it doesn't sound too much like you're trying to force that blues scale over the chord, but then still using that minor third to give it a little bit of an edge and throwing in the blue note maybe once in a while, or just bending up, down to it, probably like that. But you start to kind of put these all together and it gets this blended scale, and your solos stop sounding just like scales and they start sounding, more like you, but you got a lot of more options, a lot more colors, and just, think of it like the blues scale with adding some notes, or the major pen adding some notes, however you think that works for you. And, learning how to blend these scales, it completely transformed how I solo, but just knowing the notes isn't enough because there's something else we can learn from how great players jam, especially when they're creating music on the fly. So check out this video here where I break down how to actually jam, whether you're a beginner or a pro, and start making your solos feel like real music.